For today's project, I found a great little mirror at Goodwill for a few dollars, and I decided to bring it home and do a little makeover. Now, the inspiration actually came from Frontgate, and I found this beautiful picture that I absolutely love, and just thought I would try to not recreate it per se, but do something very similar to this look. Let's take a look at what our base material is today, and that is this mirror. Now, this mirror was originally from Bed Bath & Beyond. It did have an image on here originally, but I went ahead and took that off, cleaned it up, and got the surface ready for us to work with today. What all are we going to be working with? Let's see. I grabbed some painter's tape. I also have ModPodge mat that I will be using. Got a couple of applicator brushes, a napkin that I found that I thought was quite beautiful, folk art chalk in sheepskin, and folk art antiquing medium in nutmeg. Got an applicator brush, my water. Is there anything else? Nope, I think that's good. Let's just clean off our work area, and let's just jump right in. The first thing we want to do is tape off these pieces. I'm going to start with the edge because I think it's going to be the hardest. All right. Put that tape down pretty good. We are going to add the sheepskin chalk paint to this. Because this chalk paint covers so well, I am not worried about priming this piece at all. We are going to do 2 coats of sheepskin chalk paint, and we are going to let that dry 2 hours between each coat. What we're going to do is I am using this napkin to achieve my similar effect. Obviously, this is a much bigger pattern that they use. Probably some beautiful hand painting or something like that, but I cannot paint. I will honestly admit that. I am going to take advantage of using these beautiful flower napkins to achieve a similar effect. If you've ever worked with napkins, you have 2 or 3 ply, and you want to remove every ply up to the location where you only have the design. Go ahead and pull that away. So we are just cutting these to fit as much as possible. All right, so let's just trying to figure out which way that needs to go. I think it needs to go that way. I'm actually going to cut these into smaller pieces to Mod Podge them on one at a time. I have some water. I have my Mod Podge mat that I am using, my favorite Mod Podge. And it's getting so low. A nice thin coat to work with. Get this first piece on. Make sure we're doing it the right way. I want to leave myself a little bit of room around this mirror. want to make sure I work all of those bubbles out. We want no bubbles here. I am going to try to achieve that same look by adding some coffee stains here and there. So I had some espresso in the cabinet, some instant espresso that I mixed together. I'm hoping that this is going to work. All right, so let's see here. Just adding maybe just a few little spots, you know, here and there, maybe around the edges. All right, so now let's let that dry. We may go ahead and take off these edges. The coffee's dry, and before I do anything else, I am just going to remove this tissue paper, the rest of this overhanging tissue paper. And to do that, I am just taking a nail file and gently just rubbing the edges. Really, just barely hitting them, actually. Here we go. Almost. All right. You know, I think it's already looking fabulous. I love it. So, we are going to now, we're going to put one more coat of Mod Podge over this just to seal that really well. Make sure we don't have any places that are going to try to come up like this one right here. Okay, let's put you down. All right, so let me just check it. See what's going on. Make sure we don't feel any. Okay, we're just going to put a nice light coat of Mod Podge over the top. So I'm just going to start here probably. Now when you're using your Mod Podge, you can do nice long straight strokes. You can do like a painter stroke. You could use a sponge and add a whole different texture by just pouncing it on. So don't think that you just have to go in a straight line all the time, because that is not the case. So we have just got a few more steps to finish this up. We are going to take a paint and we are going to thin it down. So I chose to use Folk Art Iced Coffee acrylic paint, and I am just going to add some to my tray. Well, there you go. Okay. And we do need to water this down. Get that off there. All right. So I am not using water. I have the espresso that I used earlier to age this a little bit. So I'm actually going to use espresso instead of water to thin down my paint. And I am just going to start painting this on just a little at a time, and then we are going to remove it with our rag. So let's just do that. Oh, it smells so good. That coffee makes this paint smell really good. As I'm trying to bring this project to completion, I've started adding the Martha Stewart Crafts Metallic in rose gold around the actual mirror. And I'm also going to add a little whitewash back over some areas on this picture. Let me do that. I'm going to get another brush, but I'm going to just add some water. All right, so some of these came out a little darker than what I would have liked. So I'm just trying to maybe lighten some of this back up just a little bit. I think I'm going to add the whitewash, maybe all the way around it. Let's see. What we're going to do is we are going to use a piece of fabric to outline this. This happened to be in my scraps, and it was lighter than this, which did not work at all. So I went ahead and dipped it in some instant espresso and let it sit for a few minutes, and then just rinsed it off and let it dry on the countertop. And now it's got a more golden hue, if you will. And then it also has these nice little wrinkles that I like that just make it look a little more vintage. And all of these little threads coming off, I think, add to the personality of this piece of fabric. We are just going to leave all of that in place. We are going to attempt to do this in one piece. I am using ModPodge fabric for this part of the process, And here are my notes. I always write my notes on top of the jars. And this one says to apply a thin coat. You allow a 2-hour dry time, and in 72 hours, you can actually wash this material if you were doing something washable in cold water. So there you go. But we will not be washing this, obviously. We are going to go ahead and put this down. All right, so I'm just going to start at this corner. Now, fabric Mod Podge does dry shiny. So I have to keep that in mind because I don't want to see any shiny on this. So I'm going to just put to a small area, and then I'll go back and fill in as necessary. So let's just put this right here to get started. And I am trying to follow that line. Once I find out where my fabric is going to end, I'm just going to come back in here and just a little more. So as not to come outside of that fabric area. Now let's just put that down. Okay, for the corners, I'm going to do something similar that you would do when you are binding a quilt. So I'm going to do an angle. I'm going to angle this like that and put that across through there. I will glue that point. Then I'm going to bring this back around here, and that will give me a nice clean squared off look. So let's do that. Again, I just folded that. I picked the point where the mirror is, and let's just put a little bit of fabric Mod Podge right here to secure this spot. Start there. And then I'll add a little bit more to fill that in to make sure that we've got it. Just don't want it to, again, I want it to show because I don't want anything shiny. Except for, of course, my nice little rose gold frame right here, which I don't mind. Adding that little embellishment. Okay. So now, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fill this right here. I know where my ending point is on this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish that one. There we go. As we're coming to the completion of this and finishing up final steps, I do want to thank you for sticking around and joining me for this project. If you decide to do something similar, I would love to see what that is, and you can just tag me with an image on my Instagram page or my Facebook page. You could put it in comments. You could just do hashtag the practicing crafter. I will see all of those different types of things. So I would love for you to do that. If you are currently a subscriber, thank you very much. I appreciate your support. If you aren't currently a subscriber, I hope that you will decide to follow my page today. And if you would like to be notified of when videos drop, hit that little bell. I will tell you, I do try to make time to put out one video a week. It actually ends up being Friday or Saturday, just depending on what the week holds. You know how it is. Those would be the times to check back and see if something has dropped. Look how nice that's working. So we bent that back on itself. Got these nice little strings. I'm going to turn this just to make it easier for me to work on. Okay. I don't think I came down far enough on that one. Let's see if we can bring it down just a tad bit more. This can get just a little tedious. Sometimes things lay down just perfect, and sometimes, even when you're quilting, this can get a little tedious. If you are a quilter out there, I'd love to know. Quilting is something I quite frequently do. I don't really do it on my channel. Kind of just do that. Something more personal. I always like to make quilts for new babies and those types of things. That piece of ribbon almost worked perfect, and I did not even measure it. To tell you the truth, I didn't even check to see if it was going to go all the way around before I started, which was probably not the smartest thing. Okay, we're getting through it. Here we go. Got a good angle for that. If you are not somebody that sews, but you like to do like some different projects with fabric, it could be ornaments, it could be just different things, but fabric ModPodge is a really good alternative for actually sewing, and you can wash it. So once you get finished with your projects, if it is something like maybe you want to add a little something to a little girl's dress, or maybe you want to do some patches that aren't maybe iron on or something like that, you can use your fabric ModPodge. You'll be able to wash those items. So it's a really great alternative. I've used it for so many different projects. I'm having a problem with this last little one. That it? That's it. Okay, we got it. We got it. And then once this dries, I will just snip this little tail off. I think it really turned out really cute. There may be one more thing. I might actually add a whitewash just a little bit around these edges just to bring that together. But that would be all that I would be doing probably after this moment. So until next time, get out there and create something. Find something old make it new again, make it yours, and just enjoy the process of making it all come together. Thanks for joining me. Bye.